In today's video, we're going to be having a conversation about my possibly worst Pokemon investment picks I've made, kind of breaking them down. It's going to be a little bit of a theme is what I have noticed, and so we'll see if they're truly worth still the pickup, and if they haven't fully matured yet long term, or if they're just stay away product at this point. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you so each and every week. And lastly, if you want to be a part of the community anyway, we've got a ton of links down in the description below for you to check out, including our Discord. Highly recommend that if you're wanting to be a part of the community of like-minded individuals, you check that out. And then if we have any spots left for the Patreon, as we do have access to wholesale memberships for people trying to get access to distribution. If we do have spots left, I would also recommend checking that out. But jumping into it, weekly giveaways. So Monday is the day in which we announce who are going to be our 3 weekly giveaway winners. So drum roll and a shout out to those 3 people. We've got Adbel Mendoza, Cell Games, and then the Patrick McCrae 71. Shout out to you 3. If you want to claim your prizes, all you have to do is message me on Discord. We'll go through the verification process by trying to make sure that you're all good to go in terms of your shipping information and verifying that it's you. But shout out to you 3. So today's topic, though, now that we've got weekly winners out of the way, this is going to be a fun one because obviously Wednesday I got to, give myself a pat on the back and be like, look at all these great picks I have. It's time to see what I got wrong in terms of some of my picks. And what'll be interesting to see is some of them I didn't necessarily get wrong, like, 30%, return. But some of these items, as you'll see, are not worth selling yet because of the items themselves. But we'll digest it, we'll break it down, and we'll kind of see what more or less I'm looking at. But first things first in terms of the item, Darkness Ablaze Elite Trainer Boxes. I had originally told people that when we were going to be getting a Darkness Ablaze Elite Trainer Box reprint, my expectation was the items themselves were going to do a full retrace and probably go down to around MSRP. Obviously, they went well below MSRP, down to the $30 point. So one thing I've learned over history, and this is what I always have to warn people when it comes to reprints, you can never predict the bottom. Stop trying to catch a falling knife. Always expect that it could go lower than you think it's going to go. And that's why my number one rule I always talk about when jumping in is give it 2 weeks. If it hasn't moved in over 2 weeks, then you can start to slowly ease into it, because the amount of times where I'll say, all right, guys, reprints are coming. This is kind of the price range I expect it to go around. And then it ends up going lower than that. It's like, always wait 2 weeks. That's what I always tell people. Because I'm like, hey, guys, Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, if it goes down to 180, then it's a good pickup. But always wait 2 weeks before you pick it up at 180. Oh, it looks like it's actually at 160 now. All right, if it goes down to 140, but wait 2 weeks. Oh, it just keeps going down. You guys get the point that I'm saying with this. So Darkness Ablaze, the price of this item went down to as low as $30. Obviously, right now, when we're looking at the current price, it's roughly around $38. So what's that, about a 25% return, roughly around that? And is this an item that obviously is worth selling? Heck no. If you're trying to just sell it off a TCG player, shipping and fees for this item is extremely, unprofitable. And so maybe if you sell it in a case, you could make 10% after it's all said and done. But are you really happy? Are you really satiated over 10%? Of course not. So this is an item that has not yielded as great of a return as most of the other items that I showed to you guys on Wednesday. One thing I will mention, however, I still like this item. And I'm going to be honest with you, every item on this list I'm going to give you, I'm still a fan of. Because as I've said this time and time again, talking specifically about, elite trainer boxes, they tend to do really well long term, but not the best in the short term. And Darkness Ablaze Elite Trainer Boxes is one of those items that we saw historically. It went all the way. Let's see if we can actually still see it on a chart. No, we can't see it because it's been over a year since the reprint happened. Or has it been over a year? No, it's been over a year since its all-time high. 140 was its high for those of you guys that were there when it was at $140 not too long ago. And so for an item like this, we've seen the history of it being able to go up to $140. If you're still able to get this item, obviously $38 is the TCG player market price. But if you're able to get it picked up for around $35 or cheaper on some other sites, I still like that as a general pickup, because I think it's not bad to be invested in elite trainer boxes when time and time again, historically, they have yielded a really good return over the long run. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Booster boxes, they're extremely volatile. If they weren't printed nearly as much, they would far and away perform much better long term than elite trainer boxes. But because they tend to get printed much greater than elite trainer boxes, then obviously that's why over the long term, the scalability of the ETBs tends to do better. Now, if you see most recently, it is inversed, where we haven't had really any booster box reprints other than that tiny reprint of Evolving Skies, which happened in around August of last year. And outside of that, the only real reprints that we've had have been elite trainer box reprints. We had Vivid Voltage, Shining Fates, Darkness Ablaze, Brilliant Stars, Evolving Skies. We had a ton of elite trainer box reprints over within the past year, and so things are a little bit flip-flopped, where for a while there it was the elite trainer boxes that were doing so much better. And so I think, hindsight's really 2020 with this situation. You always got to be on your toes and realizing, hey guys, just because it's $37, $38 right now doesn't mean it's a brick, because this item was literally $140 not too long ago. And you might look and see the Darkness Ablaze booster box is, pushing $150 and saying, oh, this would have been such a better investment. But for those of you guys that were here literally not too long ago, when Darkness Ablaze elite trainer boxes costed more than booster boxes, back when booster boxes got a reprint and the price dropped all the way down to $105 from $150, $160. So stuff like this is going to happen as the market is constantly going to fluctuate based on the supply of certain products. And with that being said, I think it's still worth taking a risk of getting some elite trainer boxes, especially considering you're still able to get them close to wholesale and slightly above MSRP. Not to mention, it's about to go out of print, and it's going to be a part of the old rotational block in terms of old MSRP pricing. So you've got a lot of upside potential for an item like this. But speaking of upside potential for a lot of products similar to this, same general argument, but for Vivid Voltage, right? This item went lower than expected. It went down to around the mid 30s. It didn't go down to quite, as low as like $30. I think, 33 was, I think, the lowest I saw. Some people might have been able to pick it up for cheaper. But as we've seen most recently, the product value of this item is sitting roughly at around $43. You say around 33, 43 is a $10 increase, roughly around about a 28% return. But as we mentioned with Darkness Ablaze, same story, not really worth it. After shipping and fees, you're maybe making 15%. Not really excited about it. And this item, once again, I still think is a steal. I still think long-term, I'm a huge fan of. I think it's going to do really well. And obviously not performing nearly as good as the other items, but it's just, I'm going to keep beating the drum, man. I think a lot of these elite trainer boxes, there are still worth an investment if you can get them at 30, 35, even $40 in some cases, because Vivid Voltage elite trainer boxes, for those of you guys that remember, they went all the way up to 110, 120 before they got a reprint, and went all the way down to the low to mid 30s. So just continuous insane value where the items are being undervalued because of most recent prints compared to their alternative products such as booster boxes. So huge fan of that. Who would have guessed it? Kind of playing on theme, Shining Fates elite trainer boxes. What is the theme here? 1, elite trainer boxes, and 2, these items were all given reprints around the exact same time. Now, elite trainer box value for this item is probably the worst performing, I would say, in terms of its value. It went from $40, I think, some sites, $42 is what you can get it for, and now it's sitting at $52, $53. So the return on this is, I guess it's only slightly less thereof. Darkness Ablaze, talking around 22-ish%, give or take. So the item of this, still, we don't like that. We don't like that because after shipping and fees, TCG player, if you're selling as a case, you're not making money, right? Same general concept. Still a huge fan, personally speaking. One item, shout out I actually will give too, in terms of the Shining Fates Elite Trainer Box. There's potentially, I'm not going to say a reprint happening, but a resupply where some places have recently started to show Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes. Some of my distro sites have recently started to have them pop up. It's in limited supply, so I don't think it's a reprint, but places like Macy and other big box retailers have started to show supply of it. So quite interesting. One deal I did find very interesting is Macy's is offering Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes. They're selling them on discount for $45 a piece. So if you're wanting to go pick that up and then you want to use the Rokutan app as well, I think they're doing like an 8% cashback deal on top of it. You can actually get it for really, really cheap if you're going about it the right way. So I recommend going and checking out the deals channel within our Discord. Shout out to John Doe for hooking that up and letting people know about it. So I actually really, really like the deal because this is a good item that's worth picking up, especially once again, it's about to go out of rotation. So items that are about to go out of rotation in the standard format, you know, the opportunity for these items to get reprinted is extremely, extremely low. Like, I'm talking less than 5% in my personal opinion, because history, it's only happened once, and that was Evolution. So doubt it's going to happen for something like Shining Fates or Vivid Voltage or Darkness Ablaze. So huge fans of those. But final two products, who would have guessed it? Staying on theme, it's Elite Trainer boxes. Woo! And this once again, this is just gonna keep playing into it, man. You look at these items, and we're playing this, and we're talking about this video from a long-term perspective, right? Because when I'm talking about my worst investment picks, you know, quote unquote, I'm not talking about this in terms of like, oh my goodness gracious, Eli. You know, let's talk about what's a perfect example? Evolving Skies. We'll pick Evolving Skies. When I was telling people to go pick up Evolving Skies at 105, right? The value was extremely good, and I believe that it could go back up to $200. What ended up happening? It went back up to $200. It was a fantastic deal. It was awesome. It was a great price, right? But then once it got up to $200, and we knew confirmation of a reprint was going to happen, then obviously in terms of the overall value for Evolving Skies, it was no longer going to be valued at that $200, and it went all the way down to around 125, 130 was kind of the general market consensus. Now, obviously, we're in a completely different scenario now where the price is at $400, but the point I'm more or less trying to make this is, once again, going back to it, hindsight being 2020, you have to consistently look at the time frame within things, right? Because back when Evolving Skies was first coming out as a set, people were saying when you were pre-ordering it for 110, 115 that, you know, it wasn't worth the pickup, right? And when the print of the item obviously was at 105, and you're saying to yourself, okay, Eli, well, you think it's going to go back to 200, and I was saying, I think 170, 180 is not a good pickup. Obviously, during that time, it was true because it was right near the top of the $200 climb. But after the reprint occurred, then the argument obviously changed. So you have to look at things in kind of their own general time frame. You can't make the same general assumption based off of what happened back then, if that kind of makes sense. Hopefully people understand what I'm saying. Just things are constantly changing based on the overall time frame. I could like an item at $120 at a certain time, and then during another time period, I could like that exact same item at a lower price and hate it at 120, just based off of reprints and supply and demand and so many other factors. So just kind of want to make some clarifications with that once again when comparing this to booster boxes versus Elite Trainer boxes. So next up, Brilliant Stars Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. This item is very interesting. Obviously, kind of going into the point that I'm making with this item, when it first came out, went out of stock really quickly. Obviously, it eventually did get another resupply. The value has then since dropped. It was at around $80, $90, so the value of this item was actually really good. But since then, it is now at $68, $69. So the point of what I just made when comparing it to Brilliant Stars in terms of the statement, when I was telling people to pick it up at $50, I said it was an extremely good deal because I felt like history, this item could go up. Well, if you happen to pick up the item when it did shoot up to $80, $90, when it was on the when it was not on the Pokemon Center website, then obviously you would have made yourself 80%, right? So going back, looking at the video and looking at current prices, you're like, wow, you only said that it was going to go up really about 30% or 35%. But that's because we're looking at it now and not when it was at $90 or $85 Elite Trainer Box back when we didn't have supply. Obviously, right now, if you go to the Pokemon Center website, you can actually still pick these up for $50. So if you're going to do that, I would still go to the Pokemon Center website. But interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know that. And so you go and take a look at what is the lowest price listed. It's around $69, which is about a 33%, 35% return, which is kind of silly. So if you want to talk about, I mean, if you want to do the math, you're not really making a ton, but just for the sake of it, we will do the math. If you can, sell this item for $69 and on TCG Player, you're going to have that 15% fee. Yeah, you're basically breaking even trying to ship this out. So if you're sitting on some you want to get out and you bought at the $50, you can, but obviously you're not really making money trying to flip it on TCG Player. You might as well go sell it off the market single-handedly at like a Facebook Marketplace or something for like $55 if you're trying to at least make 10% flip. But that just seems like kind of a waste of time at that point. But I kind of digress with that. Moving on to our last and final item. Once again, Elite Trainer Box. Fusion Strike, though. This one has performed the best out of the 5 items. Incrementally, it has gone from the price point of, once again, $50, is now at the lowest price point of $74. So doing the math on that, it is about a, gosh dang, 48% return. So this is actually a really good return. I would say this is actually a really good return for an item, but still 48% compared to everything that I showed you guys the other day, which is 50% or higher. Retrospect, this is, not the best in terms of overall percentage yielded. But hey, if 48% is the best of the worst, then I guess we'll take that, man. And the worst of the worst being obviously at about a 22% return. We're taking all this stuff, man. We're taking it. At least it isn't negative. At least we didn't have anything negative. But kind of same arguments. And that's the thing is, I can sit down here and I can tell you guys, I like this item for this reason. I like this item for this reason. But we already all know, guys. Elite Trainer Box, Elite Trainer Box, Elite Trainer Box, Elite Trainer Box. Like, these are all Elite Trainer Boxes. They all have a common theme. They were at one point super expensive, and now they're not super expensive. We know the prices that they can get to, and we know the prices that they're at now, and why they're still considerably undervalued, because they just recently got reprints not too long ago, or they recently just got added to the Pokemon Center website. So take advantage of the low prices while you can. I'm not saying go heavy, obviously, into these items, because although I like Elite Trainer Boxes, for me personally right now, I'm still kind of waiting out for some other opportunities. I've talked about it with, Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. If you can still pick that up at about $90-$95, I'm still a big fan. But just because these are the worst performers, doesn't mean that in the next 3-5 years, that might change, because history for ETBs could potentially repeat itself. But we'll have to have that conversation in 3 to 5 years when I make another video, and we're going to look back on this and we're going to say, was Eli crazy? Did Elite Trainer Boxes end up actually being a lot better of an investment than we realized, or was he crazy and he was hyping up ETBs too much, and the items were a kind of one-off in terms of ETBs getting a better return percentage-wise than booster boxes, and these ended up all not performing as well as their booster box counterpoints. So, but we'll see. Only time will tell for that. But that is it for today's video. As always, want to enter into our weekly giveaways. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And lastly, if you are interested in being part of the community anyway, links are all down in the description below. Check out our Patreon if you have any more open slots left for our wholesale access tier to get access to distribution prices. And outside of that, Discord community is an awesome community of like-minded individuals. We do a ton of announcements down in the description below, is where you will be able to access that link once again. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Wednesday. Peace.